Why you get attracted to people who hurt you. The psychology of emotional addiction. You don't usually realize you're repeating something. It doesn't feel like repetition. It feels like coincidence. It feels like bad luck. It feels like somehow you keep meeting the same kind of person in different forms. Different face, different voice, different background. But eventually, the emotional tone starts to feel familiar. The same initial intensity, the same uncertainty, the same push and pull, the same slow erosion of your confidence, and then the same ending. At first, you blame circumstance, then you blame timing, then you blame them. But if the pattern keeps returning, the question changes. Why am I drawn to this? That question is uncomfortable. Because it shifts the focus inward. It suggests that something inside you is participating, not consciously, not intentionally, but consistently. Most people believe attraction is about preference, about taste, about chemistry. They assume they're choosing based on what they like, but attraction rarely begins with thought. It begins with recognition. Before you were old enough to understand what was happening, your nervous system was already learning what connection felt like. It learned whether love came with tension, whether closeness required performance, whether attention was stable or unpredictable. It learned how long warmth lasted. It learned what happened when you expressed need. It learned what silence meant. It learned what anger meant. It learned what withdrawal meant. Those early experiences didn't stay in childhood. They became a template, not a conscious blueprint you can describe, a felt one, a pattern stored in the body. If the answer is yes, something lights up. There's a pull, a charge, a kind of intensity that feels meaningful. You call it chemistry, but often it's recognition. Recognition of a dynamic you already understand. Even if that dynamic includes anxiety, even if it includes confusion, even if it includes emotional distance. For someone who grew up with unpredictable connection, unpredictability feels normal. For someone who grew up earning love through performance, emotional effort feels normal. For someone who grew up around emotional absence, longing feels normal. Normal does not mean good. It means familiar. And the brain prefers familiar over healthy. Because familiar is predictable, and predictability feels safer than uncertainty, even if the predictable outcome is pain. This is why you can meet someone stable and feel almost nothing, and meet someone emotionally unavailable and feel everything. It's not because you prefer suffering, it's because your system associates intensity with attachment. Intensity produces stimulation. Stimulation produces dopamine. Dopamine produces focus. Focus feels like importance, and importance feels like love. But stimulation is not the same as intimacy. Intimacy is slower, quieter, less dramatic. It builds through consistency, not volatility. And if your nervous system was shaped in volatility, calm can feel strange, boring, flat, even suspicious. You might think, there's no spark. What you really mean is, my system isn't activated. You mistake activation for connection. You mistake anxiety for attraction. You mistake unpredictability for passion. Over time, this creates a loop. You're drawn toward intensity. Intensity creates instability. Instability creates anxiety. Anxiety creates emotional focus. Emotional focus deepens attachment. And attachment makes leaving feel unbearable. Even when you know you should. Even when you can clearly see the damage. Because by that point, it isn't just emotional. It's neurological. Your system has linked that person to relief. Relief from uncertainty. Relief from withdrawal. Relief from longing. When they give you attention, your body relaxes. When they pull away, your body tightens. This cycle of tension and relief is powerful. It is the foundation of addiction. Not addiction to a person. Addiction to the pattern. Your body becomes hooked on the swing, the rise, the drop, the reunion, the apology, the brief warmth, then the distance again. And because the warmth is inconsistent, it becomes more valuable. Intermittent reward is the strongest conditioning mechanism in behavioral psychology. When a reward is unpredictable, the brain works harder for it. It becomes more focused, more invested, more attached. This is not weakness, it is biology. Your system is trying to secure connection, because at a fundamental level, connection equals survival. The problem is that it's using outdated information. It's responding to early patterns as if they are still necessary. You're not choosing pain because you want to suffer. You're choosing familiarity because your body equates it with belonging. Breaking that loop doesn't start with forcing yourself to choose better. It starts with noticing what you are actually responding to. Noticing the pull. Noticing the intensity. Noticing the way your body reacts before your mind catches up. When you slow that down, something changes. You begin to see the pattern instead of living inside it. You start becoming more honest about who you really are, more honest about what you actually feel, more honest about what you need. You notice that part of you is still trying to resolve something old, still trying to finally be chosen, still trying to finally be enough, still trying to rewrite an early experience by recreating it with a different outcome. But recreating the same dynamic rarely produces a different ending. It just strengthens the original imprint. Real change doesn't come from rejecting your attraction. It comes from understanding it, from realizing that your nervous system can learn new definitions of safety. That calm can become meaningful. That consistency can become attractive. That presence can feel exciting once chaos is no longer the baseline. This shift is not dramatic. It's slow. At first, healthy dynamics feel unfamiliar. There may be less intensity, less adrenaline, less obsession. But there is also less fear, less confusion, less self-doubt. And over time, your system adjusts. It begins to associate steadiness with relief, clarity with security, emotional availability with comfort. The pull toward instability weakens, not because you forced it to, but because it no longer feels like home. You are not broken. You were shaped, and what was shaped can be reshaped. Not overnight, not perfectly, but deliberately. When you understand why you are attracted to people who hurt you, the pattern loses some of its mystery. And when the mystery fades, so does the illusion that it is fate.